Back again, overview of Firearm. Uh, some of y'all, if y'all ever come back on this channel, if they ever make it to channel, this government ever put this channel, who knows? I can't be concerned about people or we're gonna be. Then, as I said, angry, bad. Wow, I could be concerned by an who are smaller than me. I'm just here for the annual stomping. Anyway, the overview of firearms. This is me giving an overview for my form for my self study. As people know me from my major channel that I did have like 5 million plus subscribers and views on it. What what's the word for it? They got to know about my hair and all that stuff. Yes, they may screw up my body, but they never screwed up my spirit. And unfortunately for them, I can repair a lot. Anyway, I'm gonna start with engraving and finish because it's the most easiest yet at the same time most difficult for firearms wise. Based on the surface of your firearm, in the legality of your state or country wise, your discretion is advised. I am not responsible for your action. You know what you're doing for your own country and stuff within your own country. Based on the surface of your firearm, for wood, nylon, plastic, metal, and then within those categories, engineered wood, pressure treated wood, composite wood, laminated wood, stock wood, hardwood, blah blah blah. Then plastic is nylon, that's Ryzen plus, that's PDXE plus. That's going up there, just other stuff. And then there's metal, there's steel, there's iron, there's brass, there's hardened steel, then there's cobalt steel. Yeah, let's go off subject. There's a lot. Anyway, based on the surface of your metal, to finish it is mean to help protect it from rust, to help to protect it from damage. Engraving is just a drawing on it, like drawing it close. Now, y'all know about drawing. You can draw with your hands, you can draw with a rock or a pencil, spray paint, whatever. I'm going to do finishing because finishing is more important than engraving. There are four kinds of universal finish, which each own categories. Bluing deals with boiling in a liquid. There's parkerizing, electrocuting the life out of it. Yeah. There's polishing. If you haven't waxed the floor before, or have a dent in your car, have a broken windshield, or a broken gate, going down memory lane. And then there's freaking spray on like Cerakote or Dual Blue, which require oven, some don't. And then there's that own category because you could use hydrograph on it. Those are finishing. Now, finishing purpose today is to protect your firearm. In the past, it was mainly protect firearm. For those who know what water transfer paint or paint image transfer or water painting is, in the past they used to did not protect the firearm. It does now today because they have a developed better process for it in a given style. Um, Now it's hard to determine which one is the best finish because that based on your firearm, based on the purpose of your firearm, based on what you use it for and how you use it, based on how well you take care of it. Bluing is the best one so far because it's good for antique, but the process is long and it doesn't give it much style. Most blue can do it based on bluing can only for a finish wise as protection wise can only make it black, black blue, or blackish, blacket, well, major blue, light gray as a finish to protect it. Now, a coating conversion, if you do it on case hardened steel, it can make it black, blue, yellow, or gold, or whatever. That's case hardened steel because it's based on how you did it. Now, bluing, hot blue, hot no, hot water, not hot water, hot caustic bluing is something you don't want to do on antique firearms. because what material is made of, you can destroy it. Hot caustic bluing, you also don't want to do on any plastic or wood, period. 'Cause it will melt that stuff right to it. I know, right? Especially when you have to boil it to like 200 Fahrenheit or 700 Fahrenheit, actually 700 Fahrenheit. And then there's carbonated bluing, which is similar to that because it had to go at 700 Fahrenheit. I'm just giving you the price for hot bluing. Now, hot water bluing, you may be able to do on metal because I'm not wood, aluminum, and certain plastic, but that's based on not as a finish protecting, but as a coating, which means it won't be in the long. The temperature will go down, and you're protecting it, but you just adding a coat on it. Got that way. Do not blue these items unless you're doing a cold blue, which is not boiling the water. You let it sit in the water, which can harden wood as well. But it's the process of how you harden, how you dry the wood that does that, which gives a whole different category than firearm. Um, Basically, hot bluing, any form of hot bluing is to speed up the process of rust on metal. And the material used in that liquid will rust the process as well as harden the metal to build about 0.01 thickness on it. It either builds on it or take away from the metal. You want to build on the metal for a certain process, but not take away. Carbonated bluing is the process of putting hardened steel or cased hardened steel inside a tube with certain aluminum oxide powder, depending on certain powder, and boiling it at 700 Fahrenheit. Yeah, that is one of the form of bluing, best present day one, but the time it takes and it's very dangerous. But it's not. It's dangerous. Let's go with that. 700 Fahrenheit is dangerous, especially when you don't know what you're doing. It's time consuming, but you got the best protection. Now, slow rust bluing, depending on whether you use black oxide or iron oxide or whatever, can have multitudes of process. Black, blue, or black. And then there's browning that does part of the slow rust process. Slow rust is just, I'm going to make a sub version. It's rusting the metal with a certain liquid, cording it, basically scraping the rust off it, polishing it basically, then put it back in just to do it again. And the more you do it, because that liquid compound, it will harden the metal up and help protect it. And it's good for antiques. Most antiques was made that way. The slow rust is the very first one to dust protection, non-protection, 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 or told formulation of that. And you constantly do coats or coats after time after time. Slow rust take about 7 days. Heck, it takes some 3 weeks sometime, but 7 days at most. That is the slowest process as a firearm gunsmith for a manufacturer. That is not good for business because of the time it takes. It's good for antique because it gives you that feeling, especially for browning. Because to brown an object, you want it to be brown for metal, even wood. You want your metal to be brown. You want a brown firearm. You want rust on it. But you don't want to leave rust on it. You want to spread the rust surface over by using a chemical of your bluing solution to spread the rust over it, pouring up to protect the base surface of it. As I mentioned in my other video, before y'all do anything of this, fix your firearm, clean it for a day, 4 hours. Make sure there's no pits, polish on it. Pit it clean, no pits. Polish it clean, no polish. After that, degrease it clean. Now, alcohol is the best one, acetone is the best one, and then the degreasing solution for firearm. Take your firearm apart, plug it for certain spots of it because you don't want the inside of your rifling unless you have a smoothbore firearm that does that. Now, there's a problem with that as well, could depend on which one you want. Sometimes you have to put in a tank to degrease it, stir, and let it dry too early. No air can touch it thoroughly. No dust can touch it thoroughly, depending on what you want. Then after you degrease it, then you can start the bluing process. That's the best results. That gets you the best result for bluing. After slow wash is hot water bluing. You just boil it in water for 15 to 20 minutes. You take it out, you card it, you do it another 15, 20 minutes, do it again, etc., etc. And then there's hot water slow bluing where you boil it in water. You leave it in the air to rust. Now the chemical compound you use in this will rust the life out of it. You card it again, you put it back in and you take it out. You should get a light gray color on it. You do it again over and over, take blue, blue, or blue, or like go from light gray to blue, blue, or black, blue, depending on what you want. That's the coating of it. Once you've done all those processes, right after you're done, you need to oil it. Then next day after you oil it, you need to get polish it with a super light grit. That way it can protect the surface on it. Blue bean will still require oiling and maintenance. It just gives you better protection against rare tear rain. That's blue bean. Like advanced blue and like the carbon blue is better for chemical resistance and impact scratch stuff. But like I said, not many people are going to do that because that costs a lot of money. Even manufacturers don't do that. The next one is in pulverizing, basically shocking the life out of your metal, giving your metal the death sentence. Some of you I know that work in the cars, the mechanical industry, because I used to talk to people that used to dip bumpers in chrome. I used to do that as well. Same as dipping pants, I used to do that as well. Same as smooth fabrication, sheet metal fabrication, because I used to do that as well. I did a lot of things. Don't worry about it. In aviation, I did a lot of things. Don't worry about it. Like serving McDonald's. I mean, I can dip your burger in freaking chromium. You can get poison, or you can take this burger and get out. But slap me the burger is not a good choice. I mean, I got a cashier here, and I can pick it up, and I'm pretty strong to knock a person unconscious. Anyway, next one is pork rice. It's shocking your metal. This one can give it style. It has better protection than bluing, but depending on which version of parkerizing you do, it can be out of smaller version can be not dangerous, but time consuming because you need a proper setup. Going all the way to dangerous due to the chemicals you need, as well the amount of electricity you got to put in. Most parkerizing setup, parkerizing and nickel plating and iodine plating and chrome molten plating, they're in the same categories, but they're sort of different how the process is and how the process is set up. Yeah, that's the best way I can describe it off my back. You know, to plate something, you put it into a liquid solution. You have either iodide. I don't know. This is where I get confused because they say iodide is a positive and cathode is negative. But I took an underground storage tank class like a while ago, and then it says cathode is a positive. If iodide is negative, I know it is negative. And then like it's like every day I go to see something different, but I can't be concerned. I have my own stuff. Anyway, this is a more of a dual friends. Yeah, I have to look at it because that is ridiculous. Oh, Parkway is boiling a solution within a powder. It's no different than it's like carbonate, but it's not bluing because you're not using a liquid. It's using phosphoric acid and powder iron. Have fun with that. Plating. Okay, never mind. Make sure. Anyway, yeah, I did that one before, but not on a Firearm. It was some other stuff, my bow, in my gloves, in my dummy. I used to punch a lot, but you require to boil some powder a lot, and then there's nickel plate and electric plate, was in the same category because parkerized can also be electric. So anyway, nickel plating and iron plating, electroplating. Now these are finished coating and coating conversion and a engraver version as well. because these make your firearm go pink, blue, yellow, orange, gold, and they give it protection. But their color is limited compared to the other one I'm going to mention, like the pattern on it. Now, one of these add onto it because the liquid solution. The other these take away but adds more protection to it. It's basically just setting the positive charge item on one side and putting the firearm inside that liquid or in the compound attached to that positive charge and using the negative charge to shock the water to complete the liquid solution that goes on it. You used to see bubbles floating out for it because you can tell oxygen is leaving out or rust leaving out. That's another good way to clean rust. Other than polishing or bluing it, you can also nickel plate it. That's actually the fastest way to clean rust. I'm gonna have to do that to one of my springs if I can make my reflex back. I did it when I first got here, when I had a taser. I used to tase myself for funsies, and I broke my taser doing that process. I decided to clean my spring out, and I did that, and it went away. Poor taser. Poor taser. Anyway, on to the next subject. Then there's the freaking Cerakote and brown and hydrographic flame. I hate those. Cerakote, I don't mind. Do a brown or do a blue or do a black. I do. Hydrographic film, I did that for my class. I wouldn't mind that, but holy crap, you need a equipment for that. Now, Cerakote is a special spray. You still follow the same process for bluing, pulverizing, undamage your firearm, polish it, degrease the life out of it, make sure no pits, block parts off, take it apart. Now, Cerakote and Dura Brown, unlike hot water bluing, unlike hot water bluing, Cerakote can be used on metal, plastic, and wood. The whole process. But the temperature you boil in, the temperature you bake it in, oven people, my apologies, is different than boiling in a liquid. You can use plastic and stuff like that on nickel plating, but it had to be special kind of plastic. Not just don't do it any nickel plating or chrome plating or iron plating for plastic. Why? Wood, maybe. Plastic, no. Cerakote and Dura Brown and Blue are basically the same thing. You partially decrease it and then you spray the coat on, basically. You sandblast it with aluminum oxide, but not glass beads. Glass will scratch your stuff up. The reason why you sandblast it for Cerakote because you need the base paint on it. If you paint houses, you know you're supposed to put base paint. If you paint over object, you know you're supposed to clean the object out thoroughly. Get the surface you want and prime it, base paint it. Sometimes you don't need to prime an object, you just need to base it. It depends. Sometimes people interchange prime and base together. I don't know. But for Cerakote, you need to, once you finish all that, you need to get a free, uncontaminated environment and you need a face mask. You need a sandblaster. You need a paintbrush gun. And you need to blast the light out of it. You basically super polishing it, but you're also giving a base on it as well. It has to be thorough. You can't miss a spot. This is why you basically need a facility for a Cerakote of that caliber. Once you hit it with the base paint, you then need to polish the base paint. Then you need to check the base paint, make the surface even. You miss no spot. If you did, you had to do it all over again till you get it right. Yeah. Then after you do that Cerakote, then you need to add another coat. And then when you go through the whole process of, you need to add the prep coat for the actual Cerakote to go on it. Once you make the prep coat, which takes about 3 days, but it's mass production, which is why it's better than bluing. Once you do that another coat, you need to finally put the final Cerakote on it, which is the actual Cerakote, which is why it has such good protection. This protection adds more than the bluing, but it can't be used on antique firearms because what it does to the engraving or materials on it. Unlike nickel, all nickel plating. Now, once you finally get that coat on it, you kind of get brown, black, purple. This like Cerakote is solid colors, basically. Nickel plating can give you that pearlescent car color, but Cerakote give you those solid colors. This is like a like few solid colors, 10 solid colors when they each 10 have their own variety. Nickel plating have some solid colors and some rainbow mixed bullcrap colors to it. Then you need to bake it at 700. Then you need to air it. And then you make sure it doesn't come down because you gotta start over. Or more than 700 fire. That depends. Metal is 700. Plastic is like 500 and wood is like 3 or 200. I don't know, depending on the oven. Then after you should be protected after that because you still gotta clean it afterwards. Whatever. I'm going to for that. Do a blue, do a brown is the same thing, but there's a spray that you can spray gun it. I mean, not spray, you can spray paint it. Circle have their own version, but it's best to use the oven. Do a brown, do a black, and do a blue. Comes in more variety than Cerakote, but it's similar to that. You kind of use the oven or don't use the oven and spray paint it. Which you still need to clean. You still need to keep it contaminated once you spray paint the surface on it, because if you do spray paint the surface on it, something gets on it, you're going to gun. Yeah. And then finally the hydrographic film. Face palm. Hydrographic film is water transfer, paint transfer, and image transfer onto your firearm. This process add protection to your firearm in the present day due to the process has changed, but in the past it just added appearance. It adds scratch resistance, weather resistance, certain chemical resistance. It's not that good protection, but it's protection. And it adds style too. Yeah. Um, Basically the process is the same as all the other ones I stated. You clean the gun out thoroughly, you wait 24 hours, you polish the life out of it. You don't polish the life out when you did it, but you make sure you get all the grit out. You start it at a lower grit number, like grit 80, because the lower the grit, the harder the surface, basically for big scratches is. Or depending on you foul it or whatever. It depends on whatever you want. And then you go up the grit with a finer, higher grit number for a final polish. That because the grit becomes softer the higher number you go up. And that's usually for more of that shine. Like waxing floors. Stupid military pricks. I used to say before the military, I always took outside waxing cars. I hate that bullcrap. Oh, those good old days. Waxing people cars and stuff. Slash working. Slash doing another job. Slash going to the school. Slash working out. Fun stuff. Then you wax. Anyway, once you polish with a final grit on the surface, you're getting more shiny, shiny, shiny. That's the best way for any form of finishing or coating. Anyway, once you separate the parts you don't want to use, you need to uh alcoholic clean. It's alcohol life out of it. Or yeah, alcohol the life out of it. But you still gotta wait the polishing hour, but you gotta alcohol the life out to make sure there's no form of grease on it. Then you need to tape or mask it or basically plug the areas you don't want. Hydrographic film, you never want the inside of it, inside of any form of firearm to be hydrographic film. Okay, it will mess up the components or you won't put the components back in the same slot. That is the same for Cerakote and Dua Brown or Dua Blue because you're using a paint to go on the surface. That should be obvious. Nickel plating, bluing, you just use water and you either add it into the surface or take it off the surface, but you can do those two parts as well. Hydrographic, you can't do that to internal components. Um, Once you clean it thoroughly, tape it, mask it, use a scuff pad, and then use a tack cloth. Tack cloth will help paint adhere to it. And this is where I get confused. Once you tack cloth it, you base paint it. Basically, it's white. That's the most normal base paint. That's probably pretty much normal. Because you can either use a brush or a can tend to work the best. Spray in a side to side motion. Reason why you spray in a side to side motion, because if you spray it up and down, when you go up and you come back down, the paint will run down. It's always side to side motion, especially because you got to hang this up. That's the best way to. If you have it on the ground, your paint not gonna dry. Anyway, once you spray the base paint, you possibly spray two coats on it. Between the first coat, you supposed to wait 5 minutes. Between the second coat, you supposed to spray it. Now you can add more coats to it, but that depends on if you messed it up prior or if you just want a better second. And you still supposed to wait 4 or 5 minutes between each coat. Once you spray your coats on, you have to dip it within 24 hours because the base paint coat will get hard and it make it harder to stick to it. I think that what my experience, I think it's better to get hard because once you to it when it's soft, or I don't know. I'm gonna skip that. Now, once you get this set up, you need to get your objects. You can either use a PVC pipe, a large one that can hold the firearm in, or you can use a bunch of tape, make a tape down, and then do that with the firearm, or you can use a giant tank or a trash can or a bucket, depending on the size of your stuff. Actually, hydrographing can be worked on anything. Serical can be worked on. Bluey can be worked on anything. But anyway, hydrography is good for plastic, metal, and wood. Wood and plastic require certain materials to help stick to the surface because what wood and plastic is, especially plastic, the paint stick to the surface of it. Anyway, the most ambitious one will be a tank, and then we're gonna start with the tank. Depends on what kind of tank. Make sure it's about 4 or 5 inches greater than the length of your firearm, and about like 2 inches greater than the width of it as well. A lot more because you always want room because you got to go in there diagonally. Once you spray the bait pan, you prepare the dipping tank. You get the water set up. It has to be 85 Fahrenheit. Has to be because it helps keep the water warm. The lowest you can go to is 35 Fahrenheit, but I'm not for sure on it. It's most likely 85 Fahrenheit. Once you get that water warm, you get the hydrographic film. You kind of use a spray paint can that goes into the water, or use a sticky film that goes on top of water. The sticky film, the side that has the sticking ability, you gotta stick that face down the water surface. If you're using a can, the first color that goes in the water depends on where you whether it be the center on the outside surface. That is going to be the main color for the entire firearm, or the dominant pattern of the firearm. And then the second, third down. Basically, and it's how you spray it and where you put it, how the design is going to be. Once you do both of those, you wait a good 2 or 3 minutes. But as you're waiting, there can be no air but inside a paint pattern, or else you have to blow it out or push it out. And trust, that's a hard process. That's why you want a big tank. Once you do that, you then need to go to the next stage. Once you set the cylinder like 2 3 minutes, actually, I would let it sit in for at least about 5 or 6 minutes. As long as the water don't drop below 85 Fahrenheit, you're good. Or drop below 80, you're good. Now, then you need to get the activator, spray paint, or paint, or yeah, spray paint, spray can. You spray with activator, you do 7 layers of it, 7 coatings of that activator spray in entirety. And each time you spray, you must go into a different pattern to make sure you get every area. Once you do those coats, then you need to wait about 2 3 minutes. That paint should look glass, glass like. If it don't, spray more activator. Do another 7 layer. On the second 7 layer, if you don't get that glass filling within 5 minutes, A, your water is not warm enough, or B, you didn't put the film down proper enough. Now, the only other option from that is if your tank is big, but your firearm is small, you need to tape the tank where the water transfer or the hydrographic film or paint don't spread further out. Because if you're using a large tank like a super large one, it have to be away from the edge, or the edge is going to absorb that water transfer. This is why usually people put bridges in the water, something that can float in the water and have the water transfer sit inside that float, so it don't spread, and they can still do the image for firearm. This is take wise. Once your stuff has the object, you need to go down at a 70-degree angle. That's what people say. 70-degree angle. You need to go very, very slow. Slow. Then once you dip it all the way at the bottom, you shake it at the bottom. Very slow. Side to side. You bring it all the way back up at that same angle, the same speed. You bring it out. Then you dip it right back in, you bring it out. Now, first time, if you didn't get it. Second time is you screw up the first time, you pretty messed up, but you might save it. Now, once you bring it out, you still get that sticky stuff on it. You need to wash out with cold water to get it off. Then, as you go over the cold water, you go warmer and warmer till it's all off. If you're good, great. Then, once you do that, you need to let that air dry and then spray with the clear coat. That clear coat is going to protect the film on top of it. And then you need to wait till 48 hours so they completely dry out. Then once it completely dry off, you don't have to oil it as much. Now, all those finishing, I just said it, hydrographic film have to be the most least you have to take care of for outside wise. Because you adding a paint surface or protection surface on top of it, you don't have to oil that surface much as you compare to oil Cerakote, Dura, polishing, or bluing. You still have to oil it, but you don't have to do it much with hydrograph. You still have to keep the inside clean. Honestly, it's just more appearance wise as well. Don't put pornography on your firearms. Don't put religion on your firearms, but I'm pretty sure some people are going to do it. Now that's finishing as protection. Coating conversion is more of if the coating you have on there and you want to turn to another coat, you have to strip it. Yeah. I'm not even getting the process because I'm too tired to explain that bull crap. But bluing is the universal strip for autos. That's one of them, but it's the main one that most people use to strip what's on there. And that's only after you clean it thoroughly, wait 24 hours, and after you polish it, clean it, all that stuff. Because you still need to degrease the crap out of it. And degrease is longer as you have to get everything off of it. And then you need to blue it again. And I'm not going to get into full detail because to do a coating conversion, bluing and not parkerizing, nickel plating and anode plating. I call it those because you adding nickel to it, but mostly you just gotta electrocute the paint off the surface. Then you blue it and add it back on, and then you have a coat on it. But the problem with that is when you coat incorrectly, you can do more damage to the firearm than good, or make it weaker, other than making it stronger. It's hard to say. I do it when need to do it. Make another video on it. Engraving. Now, y'all already know how to draw. I had a video up there. You need a griever to do that with metal. Griever is a very hard iron or steel. They have certain angles on the end of it. Those angles and shape on the end of it will determine your draw pattern. You also need a griever spin table. These are materialized. Or you can use a chisel. Oh man. Chisel. Have fun with that. Or you can etch it. Yeah. Or you can use a solder. Now this for wood, metal, and plastic wise. Metal most of the time. All those you can do those metal, but wood and plastic are special ones. Watch out for those. Now, when you engrave, you want to get a drawing down. This is a VR farm. You want to draw it first. If this is one else farm, you draw it first. That's mandatory. You don't want to ruin your customer stuff. You got to pay for it. But especially antiques. Oh bad. I'm not gonna get how to maintain the value of an antique firearm and what not to do. Because every state you never supposed to wipe the serial number or destroy the serial number on any firearm. You're not supposed to. That's state and federal law, right? Everyone should know that all firearms have serial numbers on it. Um, and value wise, for antiques, you don't want to destroy the designs. That's for both finishing and engraving. Anyway, engraving. You want to get the drawing that you want to do on. Once you get the drawing down, you need to get a very soft metal or something to transfer the drawing on there. Like you get a small aluminum plate, or based on the firearm, you get the plate, blah blah blah, or wood, whatever. You make the design, whether you engrave it or chisel the design in there. You need to use wax or pitch, take that design, and then put it on the firearm you want. That way, that design can be on that firearm. How you transfer the artwork to that firearm is up to you, but whatever. Once you do that, you either etch it, basically putting acid on it, or using electricity. Actually, it's both of those. Actually, it's no. It's etching is using wax or pitch from the design you transfer on it, and then using a light griever or a light chisel, you put a small scratch in there that match the design. You don't want to go too deep. You want to be light on the surface. Do that wax and pitch, and then you either pour acid on it to get the color out of it for the engraving, or you use electricity and shock the life out of it to get the design, and it would take the wax off with it. Your choice. Etch it. And then there's the same things, but you're not using wax and pitch on it. You're just transferring the art over, and you hitting the surface very lightly with that design. Then after you get the design, then you move the transfer surface off of it. Then that's when the crazy stuff come in. Because if it be at least about a week, that's the smallest design. You need the special perfection on it. Have fun. Griever, you might finish in 2 days. 3 days. Actually, this say is a long time because you want your art to be good on it. Burning, soldering. Bad. That crap. You have to use a very specific. I call it solder because most of it is solder, and I know solder become burning. Actually, you can just use a lighter, a controlled lighter or controlled torch, whatever. Or you can use electricity. You get a negative and positive, and it's not gonna be much. It's gonna be less than 12 volts, 1 amp. That's not even taser level, people. That's like a slap your hand or static shocking people. That's 12 volts, 1 amp. Usually, you're supposed to use 12 volts, 3 amps to get 36 watts, but whatever. Um, but I'm telling you this way because it's more safer to do. Um, what you do is you make the design on firearm. Once you make the design, you set it away from you using a proper installation, blah, blah, blah. Once you set the light transfer, you put out an acid coating on it or a light design with the acid coating, wax and all that stuff. And then you put the shock in and you shock the design. What it would do, it depend on what coating you got to give it color, or you can burn it in, or give it take out color. Yeah. Or the electricity will arc and it become like a welder or a plasma cutter where we cut into it, which is today etching with electricity or using a laser or using a cold etching or a cold laser is one of the fastest engraving process, but it doesn't have the most value because it's not handmade, hand done. That's with metal, plastic, and wood. Like I think on one of my old channels, I had a wood art that I made using electricity, and yes, that hurts, but I got it right the third time. That's finishing and engraving with coating conversion. Don't forget, once you finish engraving, you need to clean the item up thoroughly. You should have done it before, but you gotta do it again because now you got that stuff on the inside. You want to keep it clean throughout the process as much as possible if you don't use it. But once you finish, you need to clean it again, degrease it again, and re-oil it again, whether it be wood, plastic, or metal. You want to keep it clean. Then once you finish, if you're doing this for a customer, you better hope you get what they want. Actually, you don't have to hope. They give you what they want. You're supposed to be good. You're supposed to practice before you go ahead. Just for yourself, tough luck. Have fun. Change into something else. Anyway, that just finished engraving. I'm gonna move on to my overview of firearm inspection and troubleshooting, and then I'll move on to gun smoking tools.